Team Rivalry Reaction.
How's it going, Big Ten football fans? This is Mackenzie with the second low-effort video that I'm recording today. So we record these in batches. So I just finished up the Maryland video, which was 15 minutes. I have a headache. Now I'm doing Penn State, so we're going to talk some Penn State football. But before I get too far into it, I just want to point out that Penn State has a player, a recruit, coming in called King Mac. And I don't know that there is a better name in existence. That is awesome. I like that. So I hope that this safety who is committed to Penn State has the collegiate career of a lifetime, because that is an awesome name, considering my name is Mackenzie. I go by Mac. This guy's name is King Mac. Respect. I like this guy. All right, let's talk some Penn State here. Penn State, interesting 2022 season. Let's get into it real quick. Kind of came out of nowhere, in my opinion, which that's just my opinion. I'm not saying that other people didn't see them coming. I'm just saying that I didn't care. So I didn't see them coming, but that's not to say that they weren't already there. Anyway, Penn State, interesting, like I just said, 2022 season. Started off the season with what I thought was going to be a loss to Purdue. I thought Purdue was going to pull this game out. It really looked like they were going to pull this game out for a minute there. And then, what was his name? Oh, my goodness. Sean Clifford, right? Who is their quarterback? Sean Clifford, yeah. See what I said? Low effort. Sean Clifford leads the drive of a lifetime late in the fourth quarter, I believe it was, to retake the lead, and at that point, I think it was for good. So solid game there. That was a night game at Ross-Ade Stadium too, and that's also known as Nutcracker Stadium for the couple of times that they've upset Ohio State, or maybe that was just the one time in 2018. Whatever. Anyway, Nutcracker Stadium. Penn State beats Purdue. Solid win there. Start things off. They had a solid season right up until they hit Michigan. So Ohio, they beat them pretty handedly. Auburn, obviously Auburn's kind of a mess, but beat them handedly on the road. That's an SEC team. Nothing to sneeze at, whatever. In some sort of manner, the nose is involved. And whether you're going to thumb your nose at this, I think is a thing. There you go. They beat Auburn, so good on them. They beat Central. This game was actually a little bit closer than I thought it would be. Central's not exactly a pushover in the MAC either. I mean, it is the MAC, so pushover means something different than, in a Power 5 conference, but whatever. Anyway, the Northwestern game, though, this was a little something to me. I didn't understand why this game was this close, especially at home for Penn State. Man, Northwestern really could have derailed things for Penn State early, but they let Michigan do that 2 weeks later. So Penn State has the lead against Michigan going into halftime, I believe it was, or it was a one-score game. Maybe Michigan took it back at that point. Can't remember exactly. Penn State had the pick six. I was at this game. It was an awesome game. Penn State had the pick six, and then Sean Clifford had the 60 or 70-yard run at one point. Man, that kid moved. I mean, he ran for all he was worth. It was awesome. It was a good play by Sean Clifford. And then Michigan with lightning in the backfield for them. Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum just took over in the second half and won the game. And then Penn State responds with their own 45-17 beatdown of Minnesota. I was not expecting this. I thought Minnesota would put up more of a fight, but there you go. Ohio State, I thought Penn State was going to beat them, but then Ohio State just took control in the fourth quarter. That's kind of what they do most of the time. I think there's a notable exception, but whatever. And then Penn State just, again, with a questionable score here. I think Michigan struggled against Indiana a little bit too, but just interesting score here. Maryland, they blanked. Rutgers, they destroyed. Michigan State, at this point, Michigan State was reeling, so I'm surprised this wasn't worse than it is. But there you go. Michigan State with a final effort to try and get to bowl eligibility, I think it was, and couldn't quite get it done. So Penn State got a good win there. And then with a legendary performance in the Rose Bowl, Penn State knocks off number 8 Utah, 35-21. Solid performance. That was an awesome game, and Penn State should absolutely be proud of that. So, questions coming in to the 2023 season for the Penn State Nittany Lions. Who is Drew Allar? Drew Allar is a former 5-star recruit. He is now the quarterback at Penn State. He, is he a sophomore now? He might be a sophomore. He's a freshman? But he played in 2022. Is he redshirted? Maybe he's a redshirt freshman? I don't know, whatever. 2022 stats. He had 35 completions on 60 attempts for a 58% completion percentage, 344 yards. His long was 32. He threw for 4 touchdowns. He got sacked 3 times. Meh. So the question for them coming in 2023 is, how is Drew Allar going to play this season? Is he going to be good? Is he going to take Penn State to new heights? Because Penn State is in the running, I believe, for a CFP appearance. There it is. But with questions at quarterback and wide receiver at this point, too, and on defense as well, you got to wonder, where are they going to go? Quarterback being arguably the most important position on the field. But they also lost a couple of other people as well. Where are we looking? So they lost Jair Brown to the NFL draft. They also lost PJ Mustafar. That's a sweet name. That's a planet from Star Wars. And Joey Porter Jr. I do remember. So, but Jair Brown. Go away thing. No. Oh, goodness gracious. What have I done? I had my stats in front of me and I clicked the wrong button. Come back. Oh, crap. Oh, my goodness. Okay, there we go. You can't see because I've got OBS looking at the team rivalry site, but I'm trying to find, oh, my goodness. And I have to scroll through all the teams again. You've got to be kidding me. All right, hold on just 1 second here. Penn State, there it is. Okay. Whew. Yeah. So that's a whole thing. No, why is it making me do it again? I just want to see the team. The team stats. Full team stats. Statistics. There we go. Goodness gracious. All right. Yeah, Jair Brown is what we were talking about. Goodness gracious. He led the team in tackles. He led the team in sacks. He led the team in interceptions. He also led the team in fumbles forced. Actually, he tied with Abdul Carter, who was a linebacker. But he also recovered a fumble. So there you go. PJ Mustafar had 37 total tackles, and he didn't have any fumbles or interceptions or sacks. And then who was the other one? Joey Porter Jr. had 27 tackles himself, and then no fumbles, interceptions, or sacks either. But Jair Brown being the biggest name here, I think, that's rude. I shouldn't say that. Jair Brown being the statistically better player at this point, on paper anyway. Definitely going to miss him there. But Penn State brings in some transfers. Let's take a quick look at that, see what we've got coming in here. They do have Storm Duck, which is another just amazingly awesome name, coming in from who I thought was actually a pretty solid North Carolina team. So he's going to be a cornerback. Not exactly going to, I believe Jair Brown was a safety. Yep, Jair Brown was a safety, so he's not going to fit in as a safety, but he's a good defensive player. The rest of Penn State's transfers, though, are mostly running backs and wide receivers. So maybe I shouldn't be looking at their transfers as much as I should be looking at their, let's see, their 2020, let's try 2021 recruiting class real quick. So they ranked 20th overall, 13th in transfers, and they have, let's see, Jalen Reed is a safety, so he's going to need to step up this season. Zakee Wheatley, he's also a safety. He's going to need to step up. Jamari Budden from Belleville, Michigan. I actually used to live about an hour away from there. Linebacker, he's a 4-star. Kobe King from Cass Tech, linebacker. He's a 3-star. So they've definitely got some talent on defense that can absolutely step up and fill the hole that was left by Jair Brown. So defense, I'm not entirely concerned about. I think they've got a lot of good talent there that could fit in pretty well. Parker Washington, they lost to the NFL though, and he was the leading wide receiver. But that being said, he actually only had 611 yards in 2022. He did average 13 yards a catch, and then 58 was his long with 2 touchdowns. But kind of interesting that's the case, because we're starting to see a lot of teams go towards like pass heavy offenses and stuff like that. And 611 yards for a wide receiver is honestly Michigan numbers. So, him being off to the NFL, there's not a wide receiver here that I would look at and say like, oh yeah, he's going to be their breakout player. They've got Katron Allen, who's a running back. He's got 188 yards receiving though, so he's a running back that can catch it out of the backfield. That's definitely a good weapon. They've got a couple of tight ends here who put up plus 300 or so yards in 2022. That's going to be helpful. Mitchell Tinsley, is he back this season? I believe he is either now a senior or I think anyway. I think that Penn State's power really comes from their running core, but they're going to need to figure out a way to start passing the ball around. Otherwise, you're going to see more scores like what you saw against Michigan, what you saw against Ohio State. I mean, again, Penn State was looking really good in the Ohio State game up until Ohio State took control in the fourth quarter, and that's because Ohio State's offense is just really high flying and fast. But that being said, Michigan did beat Ohio State through the running game. So, although they had the two passing touchdowns in the first half, rushing though. So Nicholas Singleton and Katron Allen both return. Nicholas Singleton was a 1,000-yard rusher. He had 12 touchdowns, so he was definitely a workhorse. Katron Allen, 867 yards, also had 10 touchdowns. Averaged 5 yards a carry. Nicholas Singleton had almost 7 yards a carry. So that's where I believe most of their offensive production is going to come from. And it's just going to be interesting then, because at that point, a lot of these games are going to come down to Drew Allar being able to throw the ball, I think. So if you're getting into shootouts with like Ohio State and Michigan's going to have an even better defense this season than last season, or at least just as good. So in that type of a game, are you going to be able to throw the ball? Are you going to be able to spread things around a little bit? Are you going to be able to open things up so that your running game can establish dominance? And that's really going to be on Drew Allar and whatever receiver needs to step up in place of your Parker Washington. So it's just that's going to be a really interesting thing to see if they can do that. We already went through the 2022 season. Let's see what we've got for 2023. West Virginia. I believe this is a win for Penn State. This is at Beaver Stadium. West Virginia, I don't think is actually bad per se. Do I want to look them up? That's fine. Whatever. So I'm going to say this is 1-0. Delaware 2-0. Illinois, this is at Illinois, but like I said in the Maryland video, I think Illinois is very hit or miss right now, so not sure what to expect from them. So I'm going to give this to Penn State. So we got 3-0. Iowa, man, it's at Beaver Stadium. I'm really interested in Iowa because they had a couple of Michigan transfers come in, and maybe their offense is going to look a tad bit better. But this is still a Penn State victory, I think. So this is 4-0. Northwestern 5-0. UMass, that's 6-0. Ohio State, this is at the Horseshoe. This is your litmus test for how the rest of the season is going to... Actually, no, it's not, because the rest of the season is really weak. This is your litmus test to see whether or not they have a shot at the CFP. You win this game, then I believe you'll probably beat Michigan. Okay, and that's hard for me to say as a Michigan fan, so I hope that you Penn State fans are enjoying this, or other fans who don't like Michigan. I think that Penn State wins at Ohio State. And the reason that I say that, man, actually now that I've said that, I kind of regret it, which is interesting. But the reason I think Penn State could win this game is because I think that there are fewer questions for Penn State offensively than there are for Ohio State. Ohio State has some questions on the offensive line. Ohio State has questions in the quarterback room. Of course, Penn State does as well. So this is a really interesting game. This is your litmus test. Man, do I want to call this a win for Penn State or Ohio State? Right now, I'm going to call this a win for Penn State because I don't like Ohio State's defense. I expect them to be better this season, obviously. But everyone thought that Ohio State's defense was going to be vastly improved last season, which they were. They absolutely were. But Michigan still put up 45 points on them. They still allowed 33 points to Penn State as well. And they had some other questionable games, I think there was too. But in any case, I'm going to go bold here, and I'm going to say I think Penn State wins this game. I think that they do. If they don't, oh man, I don't know that I want to say that anymore, actually, because I don't know. I don't know if Michigan, I think, is going to be better than Ohio State. So okay, this works. All right, so here's what I'm going to say. And a lot of people I'm going to get so much crap for this. I'm fully expecting to get a ton of crap for this. So let's just keep going here. I think Penn State wins this game against Ohio State. I think there's a chance. Indiana, they're going to beat. Maryland, they're going to beat. I know I said that Penn State's going to go on the road and beat Ohio State. Can Michigan go into Beaver Stadium and beat Penn State? Yes. I think that they can. So, Michigan, I think from a talent standpoint is actually... Well, maybe I shouldn't say a talent standpoint. I think as a whole, I think Michigan is going to be better than last season. And as a whole, I think that they're going to be better than Ohio State. As a whole, I think Michigan is going to beat Ohio State again. I'm actually more convinced that Michigan will beat Ohio State this season, which we're getting into Michigan stuff now, than I was last season and the season before that. So I fully expect Michigan to beat Ohio State. I think that Michigan is going to be better than Penn State as well. And that's why Michigan is going to beat Penn State in Beaver Stadium here. Now, look, I could be totally wrong. You might have Drew Allar being not, he's rusty. He doesn't have a lot of He doesn't have a lot of experience just yet. So maybe at this point they actually lose to Ohio State, in which case I would think definitely Michigan beats Penn State. But right now, I've got Penn State beating Ohio State, but losing to Michigan. And I get it. That's a weird take. Michigan, I think, is just too strong of a team and too ready and too focused. Penn State's got question marks. Michigan really doesn't. Maybe they do on defense in a couple places. But I think a question mark for Michigan on defense is really not the type of question mark that wins or loses you a game. So yeah. Anyway, Rutgers, they're going to beat Penn State, or Michigan State, they're going to beat. So I've got Penn State going 11-1 and potentially a 4 seed in the CFP, similar to Ohio State last season. They're not going to go to the Big Ten championship because I think Michigan will, which gives away my Michigan prediction. So sorry about that, Michigan fans. But that's what I think is probably going to happen. It's a bold take, but I think it could happen. In any case, if you think that take was too bold, let me know in the comments section because, yeah, it's bold. I get it. I understand. It's bold. I'm just saying that's what I think is going to happen because you never know. Any given Saturday. I mean, they might lose to West Virginia. If they lose to West Virginia, this entire video is irrelevant. So pin it and find out what happens. In any case, if you think my takes are trash, let me know in the comments section. Consider giving this video a like. Even if you didn't like it, it helps me out. And maybe you have, some empathy in your heart for a guy who just likes talking football. I don't know. Consider giving the channel a subscription. And other than that, we'll see you in the next video.